say like, you know how like they try to say like, oh, North Korean girls look a lot better. They try to have the best looking girls inside the city and show off like they stuff.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they got some pretty hot military girls. I give them that, dude. I've seen some of their girls marching. They're pretty hot.
Never seen them, but I may have to take a look one day.
Yeah, you have to watch it. I mean, they do it. There's like presidential parades like we used to do in the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, like that, and then you could see all their women that were part of their military marching and shit, and I'm just like, damn! But anyways, well, like, alright, so I just want to add one more comment before we move on to our next thing, as we were talking about, like, that general area, but, like, especially North Korea, so, whenever the coronavirus started, right, which I really want to look into, too, as well, just because I'm curious, and I'm not sure you'd be able to find anything, because it's so hard to get information out of North Korea, but there was a thing where the president, Kim Jong-un, had put out a thing where basically he collected all the rich people's dogs. And they were talking about, and the people were like, we don't want to give up our animals because we're afraid he's going to slaughter them and feed them to us.
What?
Yeah. Like, that was like from some of the higher people in the country that actually have internet access were saying that Kim Jong-un put out a mandatory thing where you had to give up your domestic animals because they were afraid that Kim Jong-un was trying to claim that it basically, because that was one of their fears in the beginning, was that the domestic animals might be possible transmitters of COVID.
Yeah.
So he collected all the animals, and they were like, whoa, what are you going to do with them? And people were like, we're pretty sure he's just going to feed them to us.
Well, I heard they was running out of food, so they had to, like, lose the animals to feed, but maybe your story is more realistic than my story.
I'm pretty sure that's the truth, but that was probably what he blamed it on.
Well, I also heard like literally North Korea is literally like think about the worst city. Think about Detroit, but 3 times worse. Because like Kim Jong-un could get help from the other countries, but he do not want to accept their help because of course the other countries want to like open up the borders and like see what's really going on, and of course he never want nobody to know what's really going on in their country.
Well, of course not, because I believe from I'm not sure if it still is, but I'm pretty sure there still is. I want to say I watched a documentary like within the past 5 years, and they were talking about how they believe he still has prisoners from the Korean War in camps, like foreign people in camps.
I believe it. I 100% believe it.
Yeah, like they were talking about, they believe he still has like American soldiers that were POWs and stuff still hidden in the camps and all kinds of crazy shit like conspiracies but I mean, like they showed satellite pictures of the camps and stuff, and I was just like, whoa, like these are huge complexes.
This is crazy, but this is also, two birds together flocking together. China's gonna be like North Korea soon.
Yep. I don't know. It's crazy, though. Well, I guess we'll go on to our next crazy topic, which is probably equally as bad.
I mean, it's 100% worse because pretty much, well, I'll let you introduce it, but this is 100%, well, it's about the same. But this is a lot worse because at least these people, the people in China and North Korea, they like grown up. So like, well, that's technically, well, you just introduce it and then I'll explain why I think it's 100% worse.
I mean, I agree. I was just, I don't know, trying to make myself feel better before I introduced it. But, yeah, so, for everybody's favorite city, the Vatican City, apparently was hiding a lot of secrets, which, I mean, we've well known because they keep slowly releasing shit over the years. But, yeah, so was it the Pope, right? He's the head?
Yeah.
Well,
so I'm going to break down a hierarchy before you go into it. So, number 1 is the Pope. Then after that is the cardinals. Then after that is the archbishops. Then you have the bishops. Then you have the priests. And then you have the deacons. But I'll let you keep going.
But, yeah, so the Pope had found out that there was a cardinal, and he had apparently he was helping people that were molesting children and adults and whatever else, which I'm going to assume was pretty much all children. Because I'm going to hope most grown people would fight back. But, I mean, even kids. I mean, I feel like a lot of people need to teach their kids karate and different stuff. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here, but you should. All parents out there, I feel like you should teach your kids self-defense so this shit quits happening.
Also, you need to actually listen to your kids because your kids was a happy type person. And then next thing you know, after spending time with one of these cardinals or something, he become like depressed inside and nervous. Something happened.
It was a priest in Poland, right?
It was
one of them.
No, the crazy part is this is another cardinal in Poland that was literally. They have found people, little kids sleeping in the same bed as him.
Wow, I didn't catch that part of the story. Apparently.
Yeah, hold on. I could keep going. I would.
No, go ahead. You can do it, but I want to say it was that, and there was it was another country in South America too that this guy had helped get off. It was another cardinal or priest, and he was also had police things that were basically, they had police reports. I don't know why I was having problems thinking that in my mind, but they had police reports, and basically this guy, this 97-year-old man who was a cardinal, he had helped get these other people that were part of the Catholic Church, like cardinals, priests, deacons, off of all these charges by vouching for them with the local police, which in my mind is crazy. Like, I'm sorry, like, what kind of corruption does the Vatican hold that they can literally just call into police stations and go, we vouch for him, he didn't molest anybody, this story has to be fake news? I mean, am I crazy?
It's 100% crazy because, like, literally in the 2000s, the Poland guy, I'm going to call him what he is, a child molester instead of a cardinal. That's what the fuck he is. Also, he died 2 days ago from pneumonia, respiratory failure, and circulatory failure, which pretty much means his blood and his he couldn't breathe anymore. But hey, he got what he deserved. But
that's for damn sure.
And then, like, the thing that pissed me off more is, like, if you trying to distance yourself from this, don't say God will forgive him for what he did. No, God needs to send him to hell, special place in hell for this nigga.
I mean, even the Pope, I want to say, said that, like, he refuses to let him be buried in a Catholic cemetery or into, what are those buildings called?
The cardinal thing, like the holy place. I seen a lot of this. It was crazy, but I'm going to tell you, like, in the 2000s, they have had evidence of him sexually abusing, catching, in the 2000 now. This is 2020. So they call him sharing beds with his kids. This happened in 2000. And literally, they had stories about this happening in the 1980s, but they felt like it was too much time has passed and they couldn't get it. And literally, one of the things, this is what pissed me off, really pissed me off with this whole thing. Literally, he made a commercial to, like, try to make it so that the Catholic hood don't go down. And this Polish cardinal, it really pissed me off because he said in his documentary, he said, tell no one about the predators and the priests, about the cover-up efforts. Like, literally, his message was tell no one. Like, this really a sick child molester. I'm going to stop saying cardinal because he's not a man of God. To me, he's a motherfucking child molester. All of them are child molesters. Everybody who got caught and everybody who doing the cover-up, because pretty much you people are God, you should know. Because pretty much, like, my whole thing is you fucking up these little kids' life for the rest of their life. And even if they do become normal, they're going to think it's okay to do the same thing that happened to them.
Well, that's because a lot of priests actually teach that. That's sad. Or even cardinals teach that stuff too. They'll be like, oh, God told you that you need to accept this dick. I'm like, no, you sick motherfucker. That is not how this shit worked. Like, that's not how it's ever going to work. Like, you deserve to rot in hell. Like, whoever the fuck said that in that article that we just read whenever we found out that he had died. And, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, whoever said that he needs to find, or he hopes that the God lets him find the light, like, fuck you. Like, first this motherfucker needs to go to hell too.
First off, he was already 97. And I feel like, pretty much, this is my conspiracy. Y'all don't have to believe it. This is Phantom talking. I believe they, because they pretty much said he died from, like, all type of, first off, he was already in a coma. And then when pretty much more and more heat came on, now they said, oh, we don't know if he's going to make it. And then next thing you know, he died just off the blue from like all these type of failures?
It was pneumonia, circulatory failure, and respiratory failure.
I feel like somebody put a pillow over his head and just ended his life for him.
I mean, well, technically the Vatican has their own police that are pretty much allowed to do whatever they want. So, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Or who knows? Maybe he's still alive and they just acting like he's dead.
I mean, no, I feel like they just killed him. I mean, dude, he was 97 years old.
Yeah, I really feel like they killed him. But, like, well, another thing that pissed me off if you read up on this is the Vatican reported blamed a host of bishops, cardinals, and the Pope for downplaying the mountains of evidence that the cardinals started in the 1990s. So this has been happening since at least the 1980s, even before.
I would say I know this should have happened before because it's been like a running, I shouldn't say it's a running joke, but I mean it kind of is. I know since I was a kid. So I mean you got to think if it's been before even I was born in the 90s, early 90s at that. So I might give or take. I mean it's probably been happening since fucking the Egyptians, to be completely honest.
Well, the thing that pissed me off is like a lot of people blame the Pope because the Pope, St. Paul II, appointed the Archbishop in 2000, making the Polish guy a cardinal, despite having the evidence of his sexual abuse and catching him sharing a bed with a kid. What type of freak? Like, I don't know what type of. I would kick him out the church first off. I don't care if it's true or false. First off, until I figure out what's real and what's not. You're not going to be in my church doing this shit because you're going to make me look bad. Because pretty much for the rest of everything, like, the new Pope, he actually feeling sorry for the victims and actually making it.
So
like,
he says.
I feel like this Pope, the first Pope that actually, like, okay with same-sex marriage. I feel like this Pope is trying to make it, like, okay. Because I feel like it's so much dirt on Catholic.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I appreciate that he's coming out for the gays and whatnot, but you got to think about it, dude. He managed to make it that high in this position, and you're gonna tell me that he didn't somehow even hear remotely that any of this was going on?
Well, the only thing I can say is at least he's trying now, because this St. Paul II, for the rest of my time, I think he's one of the worst. Well, all the other popes is horrible too, but this is one of the worst because at least the other popes, they could act like they didn't have evidence, or they could act like they could turn a blind eye.
Well, apparently they did. They just hid the shit.
But this Pope actually had mountains of evidence, and then like literally knew all this, and he still appointed an archbishop to a cardinal. So,
I mean, it's just like, well, you think about the Vatican. The Vatican actually has a real library, right?
Yeah.
It's not open to the public.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about all the shit that they probably actually have hidden in there. Like, yes, I know I'm doing this off of a movie that I watched with Tom Hanks. I can't remember what the hell the name of it is. But, I mean, that's a real thing. Like, I'm not saying the movie is a real thing, but, their library that they have is a real thing. There's actually, beliefs that they actually have hidden artifacts and stuff that, that they hid because, the church originally didn't want science. They were completely against it. They looked at like, an apple falling off a tree whenever people were like, oh, that's just gravity. They were like, you're a witch. It's just like the Salem witch trials. The priests were like, oh, well, these women can flick their toes or twist them together. They must be witches. We burn them.
The funny part is, it actually came out later that a lot of them girls, they was having affairs with, and then pretty much they was feared that they would tell everybody. So then a lot of people that was the way that they killed some of the girls.
I don't know. I kind of believe there really is witches. I'm not gonna lie, because you think about how long these stories have gone back.
I believe a lot of stuff, but I believe in a lot of people's cases. First off, if I'm rich, I would never get caught. First off,
well, that's the thing. That's one of the theories is that they believe they never actually got caught, and that they pretty much just sent somebody else in their place and made the people believe it.
First off, if I'm rich and I had the power to like control people's minds and make zombies work and all this stuff, if somebody ever come and try to attack me, you know how quick I could just turn this whole. Because you gotta remember, it wasn't no social media, all this stuff. A whole town could pretty much vanish without you even knowing.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
That's why I'm saying, like, for the people who believe, like, I believe it's riches, all type of other stuff out there. but like to a certain extent, like I believe the whole Salem witch trial was a whole bunch of. It wasn't